Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, I've got my first impressions review of the new premium Tier 6 German cruiser München, or Munich. München is the German name for the city in Germany that English speakers call Munich. We're going to look at my commander build for this ship, as well as the mod selection and the armor viewer, before we jump into some gameplay and talk about the ship's stats and how it plays. I will say right off the bat that I really like this ship, and I think it is in fact the best premium ship Wargaming has released for sale in a few months. It's certainly better than the last Tier 6 premium cruisers we got with the Cheshire and the Abruzzi. This thing is, in my opinion, pretty fantastic. But let's get to my commander build and then the mod selection and the armor viewer before we talk any more about it. On this ship, I am using a rank 11 Gunther Lutyens with Nikolai Kuznetsov and Gunishi Makawa as inspirations. I've built Lutyens for speed and rudder shift, so speed and agility, which I think works very well on this ship. For the mod selection, Aiming Systems Mod 1 in the first slot, then we've got steering gears in the second, and steering gears in the third. I should note that in the game you're about to see, I was using concealment mod in this third slot, but I think steering gears is perhaps a better choice. You could go either way though. The armor, not a very heavily armored cruiser, 16mm bow plating, can be overmatched by a lot, and the side plating 20mm mostly, 50 at the waterline. You don't want to be getting shot in this thing by battleship caliber AP, and also cruiser caliber HE will melt this thing. The Citadel, as you can see, juts very far out of the waterline and is very exposed, but it does have a turtleback armor scheme with 35mm slopes. That seems pretty beefy, and it's probably going to save you from taking citadels from enemy cruisers, but perhaps not so much battleships. It's difficult to tell though, I haven't been able to shoot at a lot of Münchens out there, so it's kind of hard to know without having done that. But now, let's jump into the gameplay. We're going to be on straight in a domination mode game for this battle. It's a pretty short one, and I initially hesitated to use it, but I think it represents the ship well. So we're going to get into the stats now. Right off the bat, 30,200 hit points. That's not a lot of them. It does have 10% torpedo damage reduction, though, for whatever that's worth. It's also got 8 150mm guns in 4x2 turrets, which enjoy the German quarter penetration on the high explosive, and that allows the HE shells to pen up to 37.5mm of armor, which is more than any other light cruiser using the equilibrium of power skill to increase the high explosive pen on their 150 or 152mm guns. But since it is German and has that extra penetration built in, you get that extra penetration without the downside of a reduced fire chance. 15.8 kilometer range with Kuznetsov and the epic flag of battle propensity on the guns. 5-second reload, very quick, much like the Nuremberg at Tier 5. 16.7 second turret traverse for 180 degrees, and this is basically the only stat on this ship that I find underwhelming. 1,700 max high explosive damage on the HE shells, which is a fairly low alpha strike, but that is offset by the excellent penetration. 8% fire chance, and of course you can improve that with commander skills on other commanders if you so desire. And then 3,872 max AP shell damage with Lutyens' base trait. And the AP, much like the HE on this ship, is quite good, very good at finding the citadels on broadside cruisers, and doing damage to battleship superstructures and even maybe some upper belt armor. The ship is also armed with torpedoes, 8 of them in 2 quad launchers on either side of the ship that travel out to a range of 6 kilometers at 64 knots and do 13,700 maximum damage. München also has sonar, German sonar, which spots ships at a range of, I think, 5.3 kilometers and also detects torpedoes early. We're able to avoid the torpedoes there from the enemy destroyer. Another great thing about this ship is its speed. I've got it going at 39.3 knots in the water with this Lutyens build and the epic flag of battle propensity. Very tight turning circle at 690 meters, and a 3-second rudder shift with the 2 steering gear mods. Now, if you want to run the concealment mod, it's about a 5-second rudder shift, which is still good, but maybe not quite as agile. AP against this Trento, you can see we have no problems hitting him for a double Citadel, and we're going to follow it up with another double Citadel hit, but that's all we're going to get off of him until our torpedoes crash into both his ship, taking him out, and the enemy battleship over there. So these torpedoes are particularly useful in situations like this. Last stat, detectability, 11.3 kilometer detectability with the double steering gears build that I showed you in the beginning of the video. But with the concealment mod, you can see it goes down to 10.2. Again, I think you can go either way on this ship, but I think I like the extra agility and maneuverability. If you aren't able to get behind islands like I am here, then you can pretty effectively open water gunboat at longer ranges against enemy battleships. This Leon is coming around the corner. We're launching the torpedoes from the other side, hoping we'll be able to take him out. His guns aren't aimed this way. We're still concealed by the friendly smokescreen, which is just about to dissipate. And as it does, I believe our torpedoes are going to strike the Leon and take him out for our second kill of the game. They do. We've got 2 friendly destroyers in the Charlie Cap, still an enemy destroyer hanging around there somewhere, and a Colorado out in the distance. As far as how you play this ship, it's very much like any light cruiser you've ever played. It excels when it can find positions behind islands that keep it concealed and covered. You can send out this HE spam, which, as you can see against that Colorado there, we get 7 penetrations. I think this is even more penetrations than you'd probably experience if you were taking, say, a Tier 6 American cruiser like the Helena with the equilibrium of power skill. I think you'd probably be experiencing a few more shatters. As it stands, we've gotten no shatters whatsoever on this Colorado, and we've even gotten our first fire of the game, but of course the Colorado goes down before we can do much more to him. And that's pretty much everything on this flank of the map. We've secured Charlie, got a DD moving toward Bravo up there to the north. So we are going to move to the west toward Alpha, where the rest of the remaining enemy ships are. Got a cruiser and a Gneisenau in there. Both of them are going to die, which is going to give us a chance to fight some of these cruisers here. And in this sequence, you'll see the München's effectiveness versus destroyers and cruisers. I think this is a great ship. Again, I think it's the best premium that Wargaming has released in a long time. It's a lot like the Tier 5 German tech tree cruiser Nürnberg, except it has more guns, it's faster, and possibly more maneuverable. It's basically a better Nürnberg in every way, and it has a very fast rate of fire, which puts it in the same league as something like the Cleveland at Tier 7, only it's Tier 6. So it's a really fantastic light cruiser, capable of dealing scary amounts of damage with HE shell penetrations and fire, and the AP is nothing to sleep on. It's just a very, very good cruiser, and I would recommend this one. The only downside, of course, is that since it's very lightly armored, you don't really want to be taking too many shots in it, and you're going to see that coming up soon. Battleship caliber AP will absolutely hurt this ship, and HE from cruisers is going to do a fairly good job of melting it. We are approaching the Alpha Cap now. We know that there is a cruiser and a destroyer around, and we are spotted probably through that gap by the destroyer, so we are going to turn on the sonar. Might be a little bit too soon to do that just yet, but we've got it running. It lasts for nearly 2 minutes, and hopefully we will be able to spot any incoming torpedoes and potentially spot the enemy destroyer if he gets within spotting range of the sonar. Miyoko out there, we're keeping an eye on him, and the sonar does pick up the enemy Moss at 5.3 kilometers. We're able to lay into him with the high explosive, giving a little bit of broadside to those cruisers there, so we want to turn in both to angle at them and to dodge the Moss's incoming torpedoes, which it looks like we will be able to do. Now, the cruisers are shooting at us with high explosive. You can see we've lost a fair few number of hit points there. So, again, this thing doesn't stand up very well to firing. You're going to need to be able to position this thing effectively to avoid taking damage and also deal damage of your own. So, it's probably not a very easy ship to play for somebody who's just started the game, but it is very effective, as this Miyoko, who is reversing out broadside, doing kind of foolish things, is going to discover. Double citadels on him. We get the high caliber medal. Another citadel there. He started this engagement, I think, at full health, and now after 6 citadel hits, he is dead. Indianapolis is running away, but the team is almost at 1,000 points, so the game is going to end prematurely, quite unfortunately. In any case, this is a fantastic ship. I actually love it, and I would highly recommend it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.